Thank you very much, Sister Hannah. Thank you, Pastor Raj, for this opportunity. Sabazallah Jabisi, Saboko Jabisi. It's a good opportunity to be encouraged from the Word of God. We'll have a quick look at the Bible. We'll look at the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, verses from 1 to 5, and um, 11 and 12. We all know this we all know this portion, and we have read it many times, I'm sure. But we are going to revisit it again. I think it will be good for us to read it once. So I'm going to read it once, right? When Mark chapter 2, verses from 1 to 5 and 11 and 12. When he returned to Capernaum after some days, it was reported that he was at home. So many gathered around that there was no longer room for them, not even in the front of the door. As he was speaking the word to them, then some people came bringing to him a paralyzed man, carried by four of them. And when they could not bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him, and after having dug through it, they laid down the mat on which the paralytic lay. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Verse 11, I say to you, stand up, take your mat, and go to your home. And he stood up and immediately took the mat, and he went out before all of them, so that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this." Amen. Uh, Title of today's thought would be House of Jesus. Yeah. Uh, Here we see in verse 1 that people knew when Jesus was in Capernaum, and the people knew that he was at Capernaum and he was at home. And so people went to that place. We don't, every one of us, we know that Jesus, he didn't have his own house. He didn't build a house when he was on earth. But we see that there was a place. Is there some feedback or something? Uh, Anyways,
Can you hold your mic a little closer to your lips? Yeah.
okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I was saying we know that Jesus didn't build his own house, but in Capernaum, we see here that people kind of identified one house with Jesus, and one house was there, which was called the house of Jesus. Yeah. And uh, we are going to learn something from this house, from this family. Yeah. So there was this house in Capernaum who had let Jesus in to their house, and Jesus was there so much that the house itself was known as the house of Jesus. So in today's time and in today's world, we also have our houses, we also have our families, and this particular this portion, this passage encourages us to kind of check and to be reminded of the fact that Jesus needs to be the he needs to be the identity of our house. Our house should be identified by Jesus. Isu bosne ghar, yeah, isu ka ghar. No matter like who stays there, scientist or a businessman or anyone might have built that house, but a Christian's house should be known as the house of Jesus, and Jesus should be the identity of that house. And the second point I would like to make is the house where Jesus stays, that house is open for ministry. We can see that uh, from verse 2 onwards. There were so many people. They had opened their house. They were opened their door for the people to come and meet Jesus in their house. And there were so many people that there was no room for them. There was no room even outside of the house, even in front of the door. There was no room, and they were full on in ministry of Jesus. They had led Jesus in their life, but also in their house, and they were, you know, they were ministering to people. They wanted to make sure that people saw and people met Jesus in their house, so that they had opened their house. And then what happened there is, they had opened the house, and then, when people come, our house can be messy, right? And dirty, like footsteps everywhere, and then your bed sheet is gone, and then there are like 5 or 6 people sitting in the sofa, and then your sofa is wrecked. And but they opened the house for Jesus. And not only that, and there came a time when a paralytic person came there, right? And he didn't have, and his friends brought him to Jesus, and his friends wanted him to be healed, but they didn't, they didn't have space. So they dug out their roof and brought that person to Jesus. So here, what I understood is that the revelation I got from the Lord is, these guys, these people, uh, they had a very nice vision of healing their friend. Their friend needed to be healed. They had a very good vision, but their vision was incomplete without Jesus. But they knew where Jesus was. They knew where Jesus could be found. And this family who had Jesus in their house, they opened their house for partnership. And when that body was lowered, that body and that person was healed, and people were amazed. People were amazed, and people saw the glory of God, the power of God in this house. So what I want to conclude by saying is, in today's world, in today's context, we are living in this world full of fear right now. Somebody called me a while ago, and he was saying, I don't know whether I'll be seeing my children or not. The times are really bad. And there's so much of fear in every people's life. And right now, I want to encourage myself. I want to be encouraged by this passage, and I want to encourage every one of us. We are the ones who have Jesus in our lives, and we are the ones who have Jesus in our house. And today, as there was a paralytic person that time, so the whole world, our community is sick, and there are people, there are people who want to heal the world. There are people who want to make things all right, but they will not be able to do it on their own. They need Jesus, and we have Jesus. We have Jesus. Our house, they will find Jesus in our house. And I'll tell you one more thing. There were, and Capernaum was a fisherman's town. It was a bustling town. It was a growing town. And there had to be beautiful houses and beautiful buildings and beautiful mansions there. Roman officials or like big merchant or big businessmen, like, they all lived in big buildings. And there was persecution, and they also went through so many hard times. But we don't know about any other buildings there. We don't know about beautiful mansions there. But this small house with hole in the roof, it still inspires us after 2,000 years, because Jesus was there. No matter how we are living, no matter what our weaknesses are, no matter what we go through in life, our house is going to be, our family is going to be a family who inspires others, because Jesus is enough. He lives in us. Yeah? I was going through, I'm going to conclude quickly. I was going through this booklet by John C. Lennox. He's a mathematician in Oxford. Right? So he had written, Christianity has been handling epidemics for 2,000 years. There was a plague in 2nd century where more than 1/3 of the population was dead. It was a very, very, it was a bad epidemic. But Christians, they opened their houses, they cared for the sick. So many Christians died, but so many non-believers, the Romans, they found Christ because of Christians' service to them. And there was a plague in the 3rd century as well, a similar kind of plague. And then Christian service was, it was so obvious that Emperor Julian in 3rd century, he had to he had to mention this. He complained that these Galileans, the Christians were termed as Galileans then. So this Emperor Julian says, like, these Galileans are not only taking care of their poor, but they are taking care of our poor. So Romans will have to start a similar initiative. And he kind of signed that later. And that was the impact of Christianity, and that's how Christianity grew. That- There was a big tragedy for others, but there was opportunity for kingdom of God to grow. So I'd like to end by appreciating this initiative by dynamic leaders, by Brother Raj and associate body. And I'd like to mention Brother Kumar, who's been working hard silently, and his family, and every one of us involved. So God is at work, and may people continue to encounter Jesus in our houses, in our families. Amen.